What if we told you the 80s held more than glitzy blockbusters? Films so audacious they flopped, only to be savagely rediscovered by die-hard fans. From desert-chasing vampires to trench-coat gun operas, these 15 movies rewrite genre playbooks with razor-sharp flair. Buckle up for behind-the-scenes lore, shocking box office flops, and the cult followings they spawned. Hit like, ring the bell, and let's unearth these forgotten marvels together. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Across the Eighth Dimension, 1984. Buckaroo Banzai defies every cinematic label. He's a brain surgeon by day, rock guitarist by night, and interdimensional savior whenever alien invaders threaten Earth. Peter Weller anchors this delirious pulp opera with deadpan wit, supported by an ensemble so off the charts it reads like a multiverse wish list. Jeff Goldblum in fringed rodeo chic, Ellen Barkin, alternately tearful and tenacious as Buckaroo's mushy heart of gold confidant, and John Lithgow chewing scenery as the unhinged Dr. Emilio Lizardo, complete with glazed-over eyes and a fractured Italian accent he invented on a dare. Director W.D. Richter fueled the production with a 300-page bonsai Bible, detailing everything from geopolitical backstories to interstellar transport mechanics. No surprise the cast improvised dialogue right out of these faux technical memos, giving even throwaway lines a crackle of authenticity. The $17 million risk tanked at a $6 million box office return, but home video devotees breathed new life into the film. Midnight screenings spawned Blue Blaze Irregulars clubs, and fans mailed watermelons, an inside joke about Buckaroo's love of fruit, to Richter's office for years. Beyond quotes like, "No matter where you go, there you are," its DNA flows through today's franchise multiverses. Taika Waititi cites Buckaroo's genre-smashing spirit when molding the irreverent cosmic tone of Thor, and James Gunn points to its rakish humor in Guardians of the Galaxy. Restoration efforts by Arrow Video in 4K rescued lost effect shots, and collector editions include the complete Yoyodyne propulsion systems dossier. Rediscover its kinetic synth score by Michael Boddicker, fire up the oscillation overthruster, and experience the cult classic blueprint for today's most audacious sci-fi playgrounds. Streets of Fire, 1984. Imagine a perpetual nocturnal comic book world where motorcycle gangs wear studded leather like uniforms and every rain-slick street glows neon. Walter Hill's Streets of Fire dropped this rock and roll fable on audiences with a thunderous bang. Diane Lane's Ellen Aim belts power ballads beneath exploding pyrotechnics. Willem Dafoe's Raven Shattuck prowls gang territory in vinyl bondage gear. Michael Paré's Tom Cody storms in on a pump-action shotgun. An operatic battle between heartbreak and violence under digital rain. Hill built the entire Judgment Day district on Universal's backlot under a 100-foot tarp to trap smoke and water, creating an endless neon haze. Production costs skyrocketed to $14.5 million, but a lukewarm $8 million gross saw it written off at the time. Yet its tonal audacity fueled later legends. The Coen brothers adopted its sundown to sun-up melancholy for Barton Fink's art world Descent, and Refn's neon noir aesthetic in Drive sends direct tribute. The soundtrack's Jim Steinman ballads, particularly Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young, continue selling out concert halls. On set, actor Amy Madigan insisted on practical stunts, riding atop vintage hot rods through flaming debris, earning minor burns for authenticity. Meanwhile, Pride Records' pressing plant mistook Lane's vocal demos for mainstream pop, accidentally releasing promo copies into European distribution and sparking unexpected radio airplay. In 2014, a single-screen revival at the Arrow Theater introduced a new generation to its pulsing world, and cinephiles now debate whether it's the truest rock opera ever filmed with live music. Crank the volume, reset the rain machine, and let your senses roar across the city of endless night. Near Dark, 1987. Forget coffin-sealed castles. Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark drapes vampire lore in desert dust and busted pickup trucks. Adrian Pasdar's country boy, Caleb, falls for the luminous May, Jenny Wright, only to discover she's part of a nomadic blood gang led by Lance Henriksen's enigmatic Jesse. No capes here, These vampires hunt like street warriors, dragging their grim code across America's backroads. Bigelow orchestrated the film on a guerrilla budget of $3.5 million. To capture that raw, midnight barroom massacre, she banned studio lighting. Each muzzle flash and cigarette ember became the sole light source, stitched across slow-motion shots. Actress Bill Paxton, as Severin, improvised his devil-may-care, finger-lickin' good line after accidentally slicing his finger on broken glass. It stuck and became a cult-quoted moment. Though released on just 262 screens opposite Fatal Attraction, and grossing a modest $3.3 million, VHS rentals catapulted Near Dark to underground reverence. Critics now celebrate its seamless fusion of Western and horror. The tumbleweed-blown graveyard scene mirrors Sergio Leone's landscapes, while the gore-soaked grit nods to George Romero's undead classics. Modern auteurs from Robert Rodriguez to Jordan Peele hail its tonal mastery and practical FX. A 2019 4K scan premiered at Fantastic Fest, revealing new depths in Bigelow's cinematography. Rediscover this dust-blown noir nightmare. Strap on your spurs, load your silver bullets, and ride into the eternal dusk. Local Hero, 1983. Bill Forsyth's local hero charms like a postcard come to life. Texan oil man, Mac. McIntyre arrives on Scotland's remote coast to buy a village for a refinery, but finds himself seduced by emerald hills, folklore, and starry skies. Pennon and Morar doubled for fictional Furness. Production designer Roger Murray Leach built the quaint harbor pub as a permanent tourist landmark, its windows now filled with Mac's memorabilia. Burt Lancaster steals scenes as corporate CEO Felix Happer, whose cosmic obsession sees him installing a personal observatory in a castle turret. Lancaster insisted on learning every constellation's name from local stargazers, improvising celestial metaphors that weren't in the script. Forsyth's modest £3 million budget relied on Scottish private investors. When Prince Charles requested a royal preview, the film vaulted into public consciousness without a hit single on its acoustic soundtrack by Mark Knopfler. That score, loosely recorded in 3 weeks, sold over 500,000 copies in the UK alone. Despite a gentle £3 million domestic return, Local Hero won 3 BAFTAs for Best Direction, Best Film, Best Actor, and inspired environmental campaigners by dramatizing the collision of industry and ecology. A novelization by David Laughlin deepens the village's backstories, and fans still gather at annual screenings under the Northern Lights. Its final shot, a seagull landing on Mac's abandoned suitcase, becomes an emblem of surrender to nature's resilience. Rediscover this cinematic embrace of simplicity and wonder. Let Knopfler's guitar guide you home to the coziest corner of celluloid serenity. The Last Starfighter, 1984. Before esports leagues or CGI blockbusters, The Last Starfighter blasted off arcade fantasies into Hollywood's orbit. Lance Guest's Alex Rogan masters an arcade cabinet high score, only to learn the Starfighter game was a recruitment tool for an interstellar defense force. Director Nick Castle teamed with Digital Productions, an effects startup, to pioneer full CG dogfights on Cray XMP supercomputers, devouring 27 minutes of digital effects that burned through 300,000 calculations per frame. Robert Preston's charismatic recruiter, Centauri, glides through frames wrapped in reflective bubble wrap, an expedient disguise for an incomplete set, but his musical quips wink at the music man. Composer Craig Safon's brassy orchestral themes weave with MIDI synthesizers and cues time to every laser bolt, cementing a score that became a staple of sci-fi conventions. Though the $15 million budget only returned $29 million theatrically, its true victory emerged on cable TV and early home video. Families rented and reran it until Starfighter figurines flew off toy store shelves. Screenwriter Jonathan Betuel's sequel promises, The Last Starfighter, The Academy, swirl in Wright's limbo, proof of enduring fandom. A 2015 Comic-Con panel reunited cast members and announced an official graphic novel sequel in development. Modern filmmakers trace its DNA in Guardians of the Galaxy's humor and Ready Player One's homage to joystick lore. Plug in your console, mount your controller, and prepare for a zero-G adrenaline rush that reminds us childhood dreams can literally save the universe. Prince of Darkness, 1987. John Carpenter, master of minimalist dread, invites us to a derelict church where a rotating cylinder of green anti-God liquid lurks beneath dusty pews. Prince of Darkness marries particle physics to cosmic horror. A team of theology-obsessed scientists and grad students, including Donald Pleasance as the hawk-eyed priest, decode backward tachyon messages hinting at apocalyptic possession. Carpenter reversed in-camera footage for dream sequences, crafting broadcasts from a dystopian future that whisper through the celluloid like ghostly radio static. Working on a lean $3 million budget, Carpenter improvised props. The swirling liquid was aquarium tubing and food coloring, shot under shifting strobes to make it pulse. Alice Cooper's cameo as guitarist Mouth Street Schizoid emerges mid-film, wielding his own onstage prop, a custom-built guitar handle topped with a blood-dripping syringe, blurring concert shock rock with screen terror. The film grossed $14 million and financed Carpenter's next renegade hit, They Live. Fan forums still pore over split-second frames, searching for the anti-God silhouette, or hidden clues to Carpenter's cosmic canon. A restoration by Vinegar Syndrome in 2021 uncovered alternate takes revealing Carpenter's improvisational direction style. Critics now praise Prince of Darkness as philosophical horror, exploring faith's friction with quantum uncertainty. Revisit it under the glow of candlelight. Let Basil Polidoris's discarded themes haunt your ears, and confront a vision of evil that moves at the speed of subatomic betrayal. Ladyhawke, 1985. Richard Donner's Ladyhawke spins a cursed love story across a medieval canvas. Knight Navarre, Rutger Hauer, transforms into a wolf when night falls. His beloved Isabeau, Michelle Pfeiffer, becomes a hawk by day, never sharing form or touch, forever united in longing. Donner's quest for authenticity took the cast and crew to Italy's Apennines and Roccacolascio Fortress, filming in real snowfall at altitudes over 6,000 feet. Temperatures plunged below freezing. Hauer contracted hypothermia when his woolen wolf costume, worn without cleaning, became rigid as concrete. Composer Andrew Powell defied studio demands for a traditional orchestral score by layering Moog synths and Gregorian chant over London symphony sessions. Test screenings balked at the sound, but Donner fought to keep the ethereal blend, knowing it elevated the fairy tale tone. During filming, the wolf actor bolted into the Alps, halting production a week until shepherds lured it back with fresh sheep's organs, an incident that made Italian tabloids. Although it grossed just $18 million domestically, Ladyhawke's cult bloom began on VHS and late-night cable. A graphic novel adaptation in 2018 renewed interest, and the original screenplay circulates among wannabe remakes. Cosplayers still recreate Navarre and Isabeau's sunrise moonset rendezvous at fan conventions. Rediscover its aching romance. Let Pfeiffer's silver gaze haunt your dreams, and heed this enchanted parable of love that defies sun and moon alike. Repo Man, 1984. In Alex Cox's anarchic debut, Emilio Estevez is Otto, a fast food slacker recruited into a black market car repossession ring that uncovers one very hot property, a Chevy Malibu whose trunk glows with a mysterious alien cargo. Cox scouted real repo lots for authenticity, often filming steelbacks without permits. The film's $1.5 million budget couldn't cover lighting kits, crew-strung Christmas lights under cars to fake neon underglow. When Universal execs demanded the giant slug alien reveal be cut after terrible test screenings, Cox surgically excised the negative so no one could restore it, cementing Repo Man's mythic status as what the studio didn't want you to see. The punk rock soundtrack, Black Flag, Iggy Pop, Suicidal Tendencies, went gold, outselling the picture itself. Harry Dean Stanton's Zen Repo philosopher character, Bud, rends spiritual wisdom like gospel in dive bars. At midnight screenings, audiences hurled cans of food brand beans onto the screen during the supermarket scene, an inside joke that became tradition. Modern midnight revival tours pack theaters, and a 35mm print restored by Vinegar Syndrome premiered at Beyond Fest in 2019. Repo Man's off-kilter humor, sci-fi nihilism, and gritty urban punk aesthetic define the underbelly of California cinema. Pop in your VHS collection, blast the stereo, and brace for a collision of grease, grit, and galactic mayhem. Something Wild, 1986. Jonathan Demme's Something Wild detonates the meet-cute formula with a Molotov cocktail twist. Jeff Daniels' dull banker Charlie Driggs encounters Melanie Griffith's zebra print dynamo Lulu, who whisks him into stolen diner breakfasts, drag racing chaos, and a whirlwind romance fueled by cocktails and sunshine. Then Melanie's parolee, X-Ray, barrels into their pastel-hued world with homicidal intent, morphing playful escapades into razor-edge thrillers. Demme envisioned a genre mashup: comedy, romance, horror. He curated an eclectic soundtrack, Talking Heads, Z Records, King Sunny Ade, that punctuates every tonal swerve, from euphoric samba to stark guitar chords. Costume designer Colleen Atwood assembled Lulu's scavenged wardrobe from thrift shops, stitching an identity that evolves with each road trip chapter. Liotta rehearsed his slit-neck stare by studying prison yard stories, earning a chill reputation on set, grossing $12 million against an $8 million budget. Something Wild underperformed, but ignited Demme's maverick reputation. In 2017, a Criterion release showcased Demme's original edits and behind-the-scenes featurettes. Tarantino calls its abrupt gear shifts the blueprint for cinematic whiplash. Rediscover this emotional diorama of freedom and terror. Buckle up, because once Lulu uncuffs your routine, life never runs in a straight line again. The Hidden, 1987. Jack Shoulder's The Hidden kicks off with a bank massacre filmed in one unbroken Steadicam take. Glossy paint shoots through shattered glass as the killer Slug, an alien parasite, vaults into a getaway Ferrari. LAPD Detective Beck and stoic FBI Agent Gallagher team up to chase a shape-shifting criminal across LA's heliport and club scene. Their chase leads to a high-voltage duel at the Watts Towers under strobing neon. On a tight $5 million budget, Shoulder innovated low-cost FX. The Slug's oily skin was glycerin-tinted silicone, refrigerated to thicken mid-take. McLaughlin wore custom contact lenses shipped overnight for his alien-possessed glare. Nuri trained at the LAPD Academy for 2 weeks to nail procedural authenticity. Though the theatrical return was a modest $10 million, rental revenue tripled that, securing New Line Cinema's green light for future horror hits. Composer Michael Convertino wove synth stabs with Latin percussion, echoing the Slug's manic rhythm. A 2010 Blu-ray from Scream Factory recovered deleted scenes, showing more Slug POV and elaborate chase sequences. Today it's hailed as an underappreciated bridge between 80s sci-fi and modern body horror, inspiring echoes in Species and Fallen. If you crave a seatbelt-tight tension, alien infiltration, and a chase that never lets go, The Hidden still pulses with the beat of the unknown. Time Bandits, 1981. Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits whisks an 11-year-old boy named Kevin from suburban boredom into a topsy-turvy odyssey with 6 dwarven map thieves looting across epochs, from Napoleon's army to Robin Hood's Sherwood Forest, the Titanic's doomed decks, and a surreal encampment of mythic deities. Gilliam storyboarded every surreal tableau, then freed actors to ad-lib insults in full costume, spawning on-set sparks of chaos that made the final cut. Connery only joined after a tongue-in-cheek clause. If he balked at medieval dungeon scenery, he'd be paid double. Handmade films stretched a £5 million budget by reusing props from commercials and hiring unpaid Oxford theater students as extras. George Harrison's personal stake as executive producer not only funded post-production, but contributed witty liner notes on the LP soundtrack, self-released on Harrison's Dark Horse label. With a $42 million global haul, Time Bandits revived Gilliam's career and rescued handmade films from insolvency. Critics praised its subversive humor, and the British Film Institute included it in their top 100 British films. A 2022 BBC radio dramatization reunited surviving cast members, spawning renewed interest in a series reboot. Dust off your map, follow the hole-ridden trail, and let this anarchic fairy tale remind you that history's gatekeepers have a wicked sense of humor. Miracle Mile, 1988. Steve DeJarnat's Miracle Mile lives or dies on a single question. What if you learned the world ends at sunrise, and you have only 70 minutes to prepare? Anthony Edwards' Harry misdials a payphone and overhears a frantic warning of nuclear strikes by 6 a.m. He embarks on a heart-pounding dash across L.A. to save waitress Julie, forging a breathless bond amid chaos. Filmed guerrilla style on a $3.7 million budget, DeJarnat used real Los Angeles locations when the city slept. The La Brea tar pits, defunct diners, and the Sunset Boulevard billboards flickering in the dawn. Edwards and Winningham built genuine chemistry by cooking breakfast on a real highway shoulder and shooting under sodium vapor streetlights. Tangerine Dream's propulsive synth score blasted on set to stoke actors' panic, an unusual move that paid off, embedding terror into every reaction. Though it recouped just $1.1 million theatrically, VHS rentals and cable broadcasts birthed a devoted underground following. A 2018 restoration by Vinegar Syndrome unearthed the director's cut with an alternate airport scene, deepening the film's tragic urgency. Rolling Stone later crowned Miracle Mile the greatest apocalyptic romance you've never seen. This restless thriller pulses with moral urgency. At the end, Harry's final plea becomes a mantra. I want to see you again. Hit play at midnight, let the clock tick down, and ask yourself, how do you spend your last hour on Earth? To Live and Die in L.A., 1985. William Friedkin's sun-bleached noir crackles with counterfeiting mayhem and moral ambiguity. Peterson's Richard Chance, a reckless Secret Service agent, collides with Willem Dafoe's Rick Masters, a master forger whose elegant confidence masks lethal volatility. Friedkin broke cinematic ground by filming the opening raid in a real IRS facility after hours, and staging a wrong-way freeway chase on Terminal Island without permits, relying on walkie-talkie spotters to clear traffic in real time. Stunt coordinator Buddy Joe Hooker staged the chase across 3 days, rigging actual Ferraris with hydraulic rigs to simulate impact. Dafoe insisted on driving one to take himself. Dafoe also hand-painted counterfeit bills under the guidance of Treasury experts, lending authenticity to every frame. Friedkin's original ending killed Chance. Test audiences riotously rejected it, forcing a last-minute rewrite that cemented the film's ambiguous moral core. Wang Chung's synthesizer-driven score, punctuated by dance hall days, blazed the charts, its MTV-heavy rotation transcending genre barriers. In 2020, Arrow Video's 4K restoration rebalanced Friedkin's harsh daylight palette, bringing renewed acclaim. Critics now hail To Live and Die in L.A. as the seminal Los Angeles crime epic, its acid-washed visuals seeding the neon noir aesthetic of Heat and Drive. Pop it into your digital library, crank the volume, and experience the city's glinting underbelly in ruthless slow motion. Dead and Buried, 1981. In the fog-shrouded hamlet of Potter's Bluff, Sheriff Dan Gillis unravels a serial killer's spree where victims once laid to rest reappear alive and courteous, like nothing happened. Writers Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, fresh from Alien, fused cosmic horror with small-town Americana. Stan Winston's special effects team spent hours sculpting refrigerated clay prosthetics for corpse gags, replacing them every 2 hours to prevent slumping under hot set lights. A syringe in the eye sequence earned the film a UK video nasty ban until 1992. Bootleg copies commanded sky-high prices among horror aficionados. Cinematographer Stephen Poster bathed decaying funerary scenes in moonlight gels to mimic antique daguerreotypes, a choice that infuses modern prints with anachronistic eeriness. At its $3.4 million gross, Dead and Buried was no blockbuster, but genre festivals now screen it as a masterclass in subverting rural idols into necrotic nightmares. Director Gary Sherman staged the finale in a real shipyard at dawn, diluting budget constraints with authentic fog machines rigged to the harbor's cranes. A 2019 Shout, Factory Collector's Edition, unearthed an extended hallucination sequence, illuminating the filmmaker's original hallucinogenic vision. Decades later, Guillermo del Toro praises it as the most Lynchian horror in small-town America, a film that haunts quiet coastal roads and nascent nightmares alike. Ready to revisit your seaside vacations with fresh dread? Dead and Buried awaits on late-night cable, lantern in hand. A Better Tomorrow, 1986. John Woo's A Better Tomorrow detonates the action genre with balletic violence and brotherly tragedy. Tai Lung's Mark Gore, a charismatic triad star, returns to find his brother Kit, a newly minted police officer. Loyalties collide in slow-motion gun fu ballet across Hong Kong's warehouse districts. Wu choreographed sequences like operatic dance, rigging dozens of squibs to drip red across Gore's flowing trench coat. On a modest $4.5 million budget, Wu innovated heroic bloodshed, debuting tuna can-sized shotgun shells wired to coat stars and crimson sparks. Chow Yun-Fat's stoic performance and trademark toothpick cool rocketed him to superstardom. His sunglasses became so iconic that vendors dubbed them Mark Gore shades, selling out citywide. Released during the Mid-Autumn Festival, it smashed Hong Kong box office records with 34 million Hong Kong dollars, spawning 3 direct sequels and inspiring Jackie Chan's Police Story and Tarantino's Ballet of Bullets in Reservoir Dogs. Leslie Cheung's tearful amends scene rings with operatic pathos, his voice cracking under the weight of betrayal. A lavish Shaw Brothers 4K scan in 2022 restored Wu's original color timing, revealing deeper reds in every bullet blossom. The film's theme song, Remembrance, soared to karaoke legend and remains a Cantonese pop staple. Hollywood eventually chased Wu's style to the West, but purists still elevate A Better Tomorrow as the pigeon of honor, redemption, and gunpowder ballet. Load your compass, adjust your scope, and enter a world where brotherhood blooms beneath a hail of bullets. 15 incandescent voyages through the shadows and neon of 80s cinema, and your watch list should quake with renewed purpose. From Buckaroo's interdimensional rodeo to Bigelow's desert vampires, we've resurrected celluloid oddities that dared to defy genre, budget, and studio logic. Which treasure dazzled you? Which cult gem flew under your radar? Ignite the comments with your discoveries. Your picks might headline our next lost film excavation. If unearthing overlooked brilliance sparks your cinephile soul, slam that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join our Golden Age Classics expedition. Each week, we'll unearth fresh relics from vaults around the globe. So, don't blink when the next reel spins. Until the lights dim again. Keep searching, keep sharing, and keep the flickering flame of hidden cinema burning bright.